everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into another fun-filled episode of the Twilight Zone. This time it's Season 3, Episode 5, A Game of Pool. Came out October 13th, 1961, and it's another episode I haven't watched before. But before we get started, let's jump into your comments and see what you had to say about last week's episode, The Passerby. Akira Kurosawa says, Abe took another route and started hunting vampires. Well, that is true. There was that movie that came out a little over 10 years ago called Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter, based on a book of the same name. The guy who wrote that book actually did another book called Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, and they did make another movie based on that book. And both movies are actually very entertaining. Check them out on a rainy day. And I know they didn't get a lot of love when it came to the critics, but hey, whatever. Critics are critics, and sometimes it's just nice to see Abe Lincoln kill some vampires. Anna Olson says, Rod Serling had combat experience in World War II. If I had any skill in making video essays, I'd definitely be looking at how that influenced the anti-war episodes of this show. This is definitely one I enjoy a lot. Yeah, Rod Serling did have a war record. He was in the Airborne during World War II. He retired in 1946. Sounds like he's seen a lot of devastating things that traumatized him. It's sad that war does that to people. It's sad that we have to go to war at all. But, you know, World War II to me seemed like to be the last war that meant anything when it came to going to war. It's like the world said, hey, dude, you should stop trying to take over the world, and maybe we need to step in and stop you. But ever since then, it's always been us kind of interjecting ourselves into war, and it seemed like it was either from money, greed, or politics, or something along those lines. And the ones that pay the price are the ones on the front lines. And the politicians are usually reaping the rewards of it, like getting rich and stuffing their pockets. Not saying all of them do that, but a good portion of them do. And a lot of people do get rich off of war. And sometimes it seems like that's what war is all about. But, oh well, that's just the way the world is. And hopefully it changes at some point for the better. But at this point in time, it seems like we're not there yet. But yeah, this is definitely an episode I really enjoyed, and I'm glad you enjoyed it as well. It's probably one of my favorites so far in Season 3, but thanks for the comment. Gerald McBoing7401 says, Joanne Linville, who plays Lavinia, went on to star in an episode of another groundbreaking series, Star Trek. She was in Season 3, Episode 2, The Enterprise Incident. Great reaction. Thanks for letting me know that it was a great reaction. I definitely appreciate that comment. And yeah, I actually read something at the end of the show. At the end of every show, I do trivia, just letting everybody know. So stick around. I kind of go through trivia for the episode, and I actually brought that up. So thanks very much for letting me know. P Sparks 3419 says, with all due respect, they should have given that guitar a proper tuning before the director yelled action. I enjoyed your commentary, and I agree the actor that played Lincoln was fantastic. Yeah, I do remember talking about Lincoln, very much soft-spoken compared to a lot of the Lincolns that we see in movies and television. A lot of actors seem to kind of go with the dark, the deeper voice, something that's a little more powerful, when a lot of people like to say that Lincoln was more soft-spoken. He was not somebody who was very mean. He was very calm and calculating with what he stated, and hey, some presidents just need to be that way. And sometimes it's better to be a leader who is soft-spoken and thinks about what they're going to say before they actually say it. And unlike some things that happen today, a lot of politicians just kind of blurt out things that aren't as eloquent as they were spoken back in the 1800s or even early 20th century. Jonathan Stein says, these period piece episodes are always fun. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I agree that Twilight Zone has a lot of enjoyable episodes, but I definitely like the ones that have historical references built into them. This one definitely had that with the Civil War, Union soldiers, the rebels, and Abe Lincoln there at the end. Definitely an episode that is top tier in my book. From the Sidelines says, great score by Fred Steiner. I agree. I didn't mention anything about the score in the last episode, but I do remember the score being very memorable compared to other episodes of the Twilight Zone, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing hearing the scores of future episodes. Ever so often there's an episode, it really catches your ear, and you're like, wow, that really grabs me, you know? From the Sidelines also says, Warren Kemmerling, who appeared as Judd, also makes a brief appearance in the pilot episode of I Dream of Jeannie, an irate neighbor of Tony Nelson's who thinks he's talking to his wife instead of Jeannie. So that's what's been going on a lot since I've been out of town, huh? I never saw him before in my life, haha, but he's got a bottle waiting for you at his place, huh? You rotten homebreaker, you. Well, I haven't seen the episode, but it's good to know that they got more work, and he was in I Dream of Jeannie. Definitely awesome to see that. I haven't watched a lot of I Dream of Jeannie. I should probably go and maybe do some revisiting of that show. It seems like that's come out a few times with the Twilight Zone. But thanks for the comment from the sidelines. Gene Everett 33 says, "Don't worry, our 16th president makes another cameo in Season 4. Good episode indeed. Tonight is a classic episode, a game of pool, and one I think you'll enjoy. Cheers." I have enjoyed about every episode of the Twilight Zone in their own take, and looking forward to jumping into it. I did hear that Jonathan Winters is in this episode. I like Jonathan Winters. He is a comedian, and it sounds like this is one of the dramatic roles, one of the few dramatic roles that he actually took on. So, spoiler alert about the 16th president being in another Season 4, being in another episode of the Twilight Zone. I'm just kidding. It's not that big of a spoiler, but good to see that Abe Lincoln makes another appearance. I wonder if it's the same actor. Conley says, "Of those in the top 10, Miniatures is the best. It's the most unique episode of the Twilight Zone." Well, we're not there yet, but I'm sure I'll come up on Miniatures pretty soon at some point. Not sure exactly what season it is. But Miniatures, if I'm not mistaken, I might have seen that episode. I don't want to jump to conclusions and say that I have yet until I actually get there, but there is an episode that sticks out in my mind that should have that name. Richard Chase says, "Last skirmish battle of the Civil War took place in Texas, May of 1865. Abe died in April, so LOL. Still a great episode." Hey, they're a little off. I mean, only by a month. Maybe back then they didn't have Google or Wikipedia where they can just look up what the last battle was. I actually looked it up, and the last battle, you are correct, took place a month later. And it sounds like they didn't have that many deaths. There was one Union soldier that passed away and a handful of rebels that ended up dying in that battle. And yeah, it's sad that that war ended up that battle ended up taking place even after it's already been finished. The war was over with. It sounds like they just didn't get the memo, and they just decided, well, we want to have a battle. Let's go out there and do it. Luckily, not that many people died in that battle, so yeah, they got it wrong a little bit, but I'll let it go, and I totally understood that, you know, let's have Abe Lincoln show up as the last person who passed away in the Civil War. I don't think it would have been as strong of a point if it was some random Union soldier that walked up and talked to her at the end of the episode. But other than that, yeah, sometimes it's okay to rewrite history a little bit for the actual episodes being made. But anyways, let's jump into the episode coming up, A Game of Pool, and see what we're getting into.
The Twilight Zone.
That was, I was going to say not a good shot, but that was a good shot. Hell of a bank.
See what I mean?
We got Jack Klugman again.
The right English, the right draw, perfect position, right? What do I get? I'm the best pool cue on Randolph Street. Me! All right, Fudge was good. I mean, he was good, right? You hear me? He's dead. He's been dead for about 15 years.
Who's he talking to?
Oh, you're pretty good, Jesse. But Fats is better. Fats is the best. Fats Brown is dead! And if he was alive and in this room, I could beat him. Anything to play him one game.
Fats Brown. Fats Brown.
Calling Fats Brown in heaven.
Randolph Street, Chicago.
Interesting. So he's just going to show up at this game, come back to life to show that he is still the best? Hey. Yeah, that'd freak me out.
Jesse Cardiff, pool shark, who will soon learn that trying to be the best at anything carries its own special risks.
So we have more ghosts. It's 2 ghost episodes in a row.
You called?
I guess.
Bumpajuri.
Dead? As long as people talk about you, you're not really dead. As long as they speak your name, you continue. A legend doesn't die just because the man does.
Oh, it's impossible.
I'm seeing things.
Some things are less likely than others. That's all.
You're...
James Howard Brown. Known to my friends as Fats. But then you called me. I didn't call you. You like to play with fire, but you don't like to cook. You're not as good as you claim, and you know it.
Now, wait a minute.
Look, I've come a long way, boy, and not to be fooled with.
You never seen me play? Maybe I can beat you. It's possible, isn't it?
But you'll never get the job done with your mouth.
Maybe you are some kind of a legend, a tin god. You're a big balloon waiting for someone to stick a needle in it. Well, I'm the someone, and here's the needle.
And what about the stakes?
T-bone or ribeye?
Yeah, any or all of it.
He's dead. He doesn't need money.
Then what?
Something to make my long journey worthwhile.
Name it.
My soul.
Just what kind of stakes are you talking about?
Life or death.
Ooh.
It's interesting to see how much faith you have in yourself. You know something? Why, when I was your age, I would have jumped at the chance.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to bet my life on a pool game, though. It's not that important to be the best.
It takes equal parts of talent, luck, work, and nerve.
You mean insanity? Risk my life on a game of pool?
It's a proud thing to be the best at anything.
Well, where you going?
I'm going back.
Wait, but you're wrong. Oh, boy, are you wrong. How much of myself I put into this game? How many nights I slept on that table right there? I made a deal with the owner so I could practice after the place closed. I haven't dated a girl, read a book.
Man, that's pretty bad. More to life than a game.
You never make the great at anything by playing it safe.
It's true. Gotta take risks.
You accept the terms, life or death.
I guess he accepted the terms with just a nod. Would have done like a handshake, maybe signed a piece of paper. But what does that mean? Like, does he kill you at the end? You just take his soul and go away?
You know, the big game hunter has his elephant gun. Fencer, he uses a blade from Lima. This cue is made for me special. St. Louis, costs $600.
It's quite a bit.
Well, let's see how good you really are.
$600 in 1961 is equal to $6,000 today. That's ridiculous. That's an expensive pool stick.
Heads. My break.
Uh-oh. Better hope he doesn't run the table.
I know what you're thinking, son. Once he scatters the balls, the other man has a clear field.
So you don't sink him. Look at that.
2 balls into the rail. Perfect break and no advantage given. Now it's your turn to scatter them.
Good play, old man. Are you just gonna play this?
Do something with that.
We'll do something.
15 ball in the corner pocket. I was thinking if I sink it, you're really in trouble. With luck, I can run the table.
Nothing.
9 ball in the corner. 10 ball, 3 cushion, and a side.
Hey, oh, ooh, look at that. Bank for 3 time.
How about that, fat boy?
Not bad.
When I was a kid, I knew a lot of guys like you. Guys that would do anything to make me feel about that big. 2 ball in the corner pocket. I knew that somewhere there was...
Don't get flustered. That's how people lose.
One day I picked up a cue. I asked an old man. He was sitting right over there. I said, you want to play, mister? The first time I ever played him, and I beat him. I knew I had an eye for this game.
Uh-oh. Oh, he scratched.
No funny thing. In geometry, almost isn't enough. A science of precise angles and forces. 14 in the end pocket.
Angles and forces, huh? You sewed yourself up pretty good.
13 ball, corner pocket.
Oh, you missed. What the heck? That was an easy shot.
6, corner. 4, corner.
Montage time.
13 in the corner pocket.
Hey, look at that.
2 ball, corner.
Yeah, they're playing multiple games.
5 ball on the side.
That was not good.
15 in the side pocket.
I've got 59. You've got 7 points.
Curious how this one ends. Is he actually going to lose and end up dead? Or is he going to learn some sort of lesson?
1 ball, end pocket.
Uh-oh. This is where he does his comeback.
5.
Has he been playing with him the entire time?
11. 8.
Things are getting tough. Not going his way now.
10 ball in the corner pocket. Needed those 4 balls to win. See the score? I got 299, you got 296.
Very close game.
You need all of them.
Yeah, but you can miss that one. He's going to go for the win. Ooh, it's a negative, my friend. And you're like banking off 3 banks and you can't even get that one. It's the nerves are getting to him. Uh-oh. He's got them all lined up, too. Boom, boom, and you're dead. Nope. Hey, did you luck out?
You know something, Jesse? There's more to life than this pool hall. I ought to get out a little, see what's going on. But I took time out to live, too. But I made love, walked uphill, swam in the ocean. I think of the wonderful things there are to see and to do. It hurts me to see you rotting your life away in this miserable, dark hall.
You're lying. You're trying to distract me. That's a lousy thing to do.
No, he's trying to teach you a lesson.
15 in a corner.
That ain't fair.
That you made me miss.
Come on, a little gamesmanship, a little fun, and you come apart.
Cheater. Ooh, look at that. He gave it to you.
Here it is. The game ball. Oh, my life. I've been waiting for this. I sink that.
You win.
I'm the greatest.
If you sink it.
Thing is, nobody else is watching the game. You're playing a dead guy. How are you going to get the title if no one else is there to see it?
Have your name up there, the unbeatable champ of all times.
You haven't sunk the ball yet, dude.
Couldn't be a nice, friendly little game, huh?
I take them as I find them. To you, pool is not a nice, friendly game. It's a win-at-any-price affair. Someone has to weed out those who haven't got what it takes. The legend, they serve as a purpose. A challenge.
I don't need a challenge.
Everyone needs a challenge.
I agree.
Someone great out of the past to say, match what I've done, boy, and make it better. I'm only a pool player, but I'm the best.
You were the best.
You haven't sunk the ball yet.
Before you shoot that ball, and you may win more than you bargained for.
There's nothing you can say that will stop me. Nothing.
Sorry, I was required to say that.
Is he gonna miss? Looks like he made it.
Win more than I bargained for, huh? I beat you. I'm the best. I'm the best at something.
Thanks.
For what?
What do you mean, thanks? Then what's with the thanks, fat boy?
You'll find out. Time comes for you to leave Randolph Street.
You sore loser.
He's not a sore loser. He's smiling.
I beat you fair and square.
And he's gone. Just like that.
Hey! Come on. You saw it, didn't you? I beat the king of the hill, Fats Brown.
Nobody saw it. Doesn't count.
And I'm gonna stay the best because nobody's ever gonna take it away from me. Nobody ever. It's me, Jesse Carter, if you hear. Jesse Carter. Jesse Carter.
Jesse Cardiff reported once to Mason's Pool Hall, Sandusky, Ohio.
Full circle.
But it was found out after his funeral that being the best of anything carries with it a special obligation to keep on proving it. Mr. Fats Brown, on the other hand, having relinquished the champion's mantle,
I
has
see.
gone fishing.
I get it. Didn't really know what the whole twist was until then. Well, that was it. Episode 5. Really enjoyed that one. It really had a life lesson there that sometimes being the best means that you're going to consistently fight to stay at the top. And it turns out being the best in this Twilight Zone episode, or in the Twilight Zone in general, made you be the guy that had to be beaten at some point in heaven. So when you're dead, gone, and you're waiting around for somebody to call you down to play against you in order to see who is the best, and if you end up winning, the person who's living, they end up taking your spot in heaven when you have to die and you're sitting at a pool table waiting for your turn to go down and see if you are able to hold your own against the new guy. But yeah, you didn't really understand what was going on until the very end, the last scene when Jack Klugman ended up being at that same pool table that Jonathan Winters was. Really enjoyed it. I thought that watching this episode kind of gave you a bit of a life lesson going into it, saying that you need to enjoy life, that always practicing on one thing and consistently trying to be the best sometimes makes you overlook the things that are most important in your life, like finding love or walking up a hill or swimming in a beach, as Jonathan Winters liked to say. Jonathan Winters also, I mean, it's one of the few things that I've seen him play a straight guy when it comes to not being funny. Typically when you've seen him in anything, he was always being funny, always cracking jokes. And he did a really great job just playing a dramatic role. And it seems like comedians have this thing where they can switch it off and go right into dramatic, no problem. And they do a really good job at doing it. Like watch Jim Carrey films when he was in maybe The Majestic or Man on the Moon when he was playing Andy Kaufman. Really great dramatic actor when he wants to be. Same with Robin Williams. Even won an Oscar for his dramatic take and Good Will Hunting. So Jonathan Winters following the same line as all the rest of the comedians that I've just discussed. I shouldn't say following. They're following him since he was around a lot earlier than the actors I just mentioned. Jack Klugman, he makes another appearance in this episode, in the Twilight Zone episode. Good to see him. I don't know if he's going to show up again or not. I think he was tied with Burgess Meredith, who I think we've seen him in 3 things now, and there's one more episode left of Burgess Meredith. I can't remember how many episodes I've seen of Jack Klugman. I've seen him at least twice, maybe 3 times. I think there's one more out there with him in it. Maybe I've already watched it. I can't remember. I've been through a lot of episodes, but definitely enjoyed this episode, A Game of Pool, and I definitely like that there was a lesson to be taught and to be learned in this one. So let me know, comment below what you thought of it, and I will go over your comments in next week's episode. But let's jump into some trivia and see what it took to get this episode off the ground. Jonathan Winters was legendary for his comedic abilities, but he had never once prior to this episode played a dramatic role. Director Buzz Kulik chose to cast Winters because he not only was physically right for the role of Fats, but also because Kulik believed Winters' inexperience in dramatic acting would actually be an asset. In Kulik's words, with a guy like Jack Klugman, you go out and get Jack Warden or somebody like that. However, we determined that here was this guy who was such a brilliant talent who would bring a kind of freshness because this was his first time as a dramatic actor. Definitely agree. This was Jack Klugman's favorite episode out of the 4 he appeared in. One of only 4 Twilight Zone episodes to exclusively use, aside from Rod Serling, only 2 on-screen actors. The others are A Nervous Man in a $4 Room, starring Joe Mantell, and William D. Gordon 2, starring Elizabeth Montgomery and Charles Bronson, and finally the highly controversial and temporarily banned episode The Encounter, starring Neville Brand and George Takei. Going to be interesting to watch that one. I've heard about that a few times being a controversial and banned episode. So, and the other episodes that they mentioned, like Nervous Man in the $4 Room, as well as 2, I think 2 is the best one out of the ones I've watched so far. I really enjoyed that one. Jackie Gleason was the first choice to play Fats, however, he turned it down. Gleason had starred as Minnesota Fats in the 1961 pool hall movie The Hustler. I can see why he didn't want to play a character exactly like the one he just played in that movie The Hustler. Good movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. In its original concept, the story was to use 3 actors. Dee Sharon played Fats Brown's girlfriend in 1 or more scenes. At least one of these scenes was filmed before the decision was made to cut her part entirely. That's too bad. Fats says that he was paid $600 for his cue and made a living with it for 35 years. He had also been dead for 15 years, meaning it was purchased in 1911. Wow, okay, so it's a lot more expensive than I initially. $600 in 1911 would equal roughly $18,500 in 2023 for the custom pool cue. That's a lot of money for a pool cue. Fats occasionally referred to Jesse as Kid. In reality, Jack Klugman was 3 years older than Jonathan Winters, but Jonathan Winters died 15 years prior in this episode, so totally understand why he called him Kid. Jack Klugman's line, "Now wait a minute," was one of his catchphrases as Dr. Quincy on Quincy MD. M.E., not M.D., M.E. George Clayton Johnson's script originally featured an alternate ending in which Jesse loses the game, saying that Jesse is bedazzled that he has lost a life or death game and is still alive. Fax explains that he will die as all second raters die. You'll be buried and forgotten without me touching you. If you'd beaten me, you'd have lived forever. This ending was eventually filmed for A Game of Pool. One of the few Twilight Zone episodes where a character breaks the fourth wall and speaks directly to the viewer. After defeating Fats Brown, Jesse looks directly into the camera and says, "Well, you saw it, didn't you? I beat the king of the hill, Fats Brown." Other episodes that employ this technique are A World of His Own, where a character speaks directly to Rod Serling, What's in the Box, where the TV repairman smirks at the camera, and The After Hours, when the store manager delivers a shocked, comical expression directly into the camera. Oh, that's cool. Well, that's it for this episode. Let me know, comment below what you thought of it, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue on this voyage to episode 156 of The Twilight Zone. Until next time, see you later.